Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. All right, we're back, and as you know, we're shortly coming up on our primary day, May 20th, in the state of Oregon, and the ballots are out. And one of the issues on the ballot is extremely controversial. I had no idea that this would pop up the way it is, and that is the ballot measure 15-119, dealing with GMOs. Delighted to have in the studio with us today Ian Tolleson. He is a spokesman for the Oregon Farm Bureau, and also with Good Neighbors Farmers PAC, and you are representing the no on 15-119. I've had some yes people in, but like I told you earlier, Ian, I've never seen an issue in Jackson County split it like this one is. What's this really about from your position?
Well, I think it's about a lot of different things. I think fundamentally it's about the ability for farmers to grow what they want to grow on their own farm. You know, there are different methods and techniques of farming. We at Oregon Farm Bureau, we value all methods of production. Our board is made up of organic farmers, conventional farmers, and GMO farmers. And we've made a decision that the best person to choose what method they want to use for production is up to themselves. And that is really where we come from on this issue. And just to tell you, if this measure was about banning any other type of production, say organic, we'd be here just as hard to defeat that, because we just feel that the landowner is the best person to decide how they grow their crops.
Okay, because some other large agricultural organizations, I was thinking the Grange Co-op here in Southern Oregon, have come out for yes on it. So you got the Farm Bureau no, and you got Grange Co-op here yes, and I'm going, whoa. Yeah. I mean, this is really something.
So my understanding of the Grange Co-op, it was a split decision. So even within themselves, you know, it's split. And I told you earlier, you know, farmers, there's always something to complain about. You know, whether it's water's a big issue down here in Southern Oregon. The weather, we like to keep those things internally. Sometimes it doesn't. And this is one of those cases where unfortunately it's splitting the farming community and really the Jackson community at large. And it is an extremely unfortunate thing that has happened. Let
me fast forward and come back while we got to look. However this comes out, yes or no, do you think the farmers will unite after this?
I certainly hope so. I mean, regardless of the outcome, I would surely hope that we can come back together and get back to a sense of normalcy here in Jackson County. You know, it's a traditional agricultural community, and that's important for whatever side you're on.
The no campaign, from what I sense now, and I've had the yes on, and I've looked back and forth on this, and I've stayed out of it as far as any side is concerned publicly, because it's just too hot. But what I don't hear from the no campaign is what GMO is all about. All I hear is that it's going to take from the budget.
Yeah, that's certainly a part of it.
But I haven't heard any ads from your side saying what a GMO, why we don't want this.
Sure.
I mean, why you do want this.
Sure.
Excuse me. Yeah.
You know, I think it's in a campaign, unfortunately, you don't have a whole lot of time to educate. And this stuff is the cutting edge of science and technology. You know, you're not going to feed the world's future with yesterday's technology. It's very scientific, and it's hard to dive down deep in the details, which is great that I have the opportunity to do it here a little bit. Yeah. But the reason why genetically engineered crops are being adopted so quickly, and it is the fastest adopted technology in agriculture ever, is it really gives the farmer the ability to use less inputs, whether that's what they spray on their field, water, and then they do get increased yields. You know, the concept behind a Roundup ready crop for existence is you have the ability to spray it just once rather than multiple times with an array of chemicals. And Roundup, of course, is a product you can buy over the shelf. Anyone can buy it. Much safer product than a lot of the restricted use chemicals that are out there. So that's a benefit. And because you have a more efficient weed management system, you are going to have a healthier crop. Your crop is going to not going to compete with weeds for sun, for water, for nutrients in the soil. So it allows the farmer to have a better crop in the end.
All right. It's created some controversy even worldwide as to whether or not some countries will allow GMO crops. So what's the marketability of this in the future?
Definitely, you know, as this technology gets out there, there are countries, 27 countries now grow the crop, including 5 countries in the EU. Several other countries do import it that don't grow the technology. It is always increasing, and as markets become available, then farmers in the U.S. and worldwide can do that. One of the leading reasons why countries don't have the technology in their country is because of barriers to a regulatory framework. You know, it's a heavy regulatory crop. It goes through the Food and Drug Administration, Environmental Protection Agency, and the United States Department of Agriculture. You know, a lot of these countries don't have that framework, and it's trying to build up, and that allows for imports.
All right. In Jackson County, what are some GMO crops? Can you name a few?
Yes, I mean, there's only 8 GMO crops that are available for commercialization, and all 8 are not grown in Jackson County. Predominantly, it's actually alfalfa. There are some sugar beet test plots around, but those tend to be very small plots scattered throughout the area. So predominantly, it's alfalfa.
I'm an old Aggie guy from UC Davis.
Oh, good.
So
yeah.
I get a little bit of that down there, and I was on their website. It's got them split in the ag department.
Oh.
And yet they teach this.
They do.
They teach the science of this, but it's got some issues going on down there. The big issue is cross-pollination. How do you combat that one?
Yeah, well, and just so you know, if GMOs were to never exist, there's always an issue with pollen flow, and it only, of course, happens in similar plants in the same family. So you're not going to get pollen from a strawberry to a banana. You know, none of that happens. So what has traditionally happened throughout the state, throughout the country, throughout the world, is when you have similar crops, say field corn and sweet corn, you know, you talk to your neighbors and you figure out, okay, are you growing a crop that could have these issues? And if you are, there's things to do. You can stagger your planting dates, so when that you know, sweet spot in the crop's life, when it pollinates, it doesn't pollinate at the same time. And that's really why we named our pack Good Neighbor Farmer. You know, we think you should be a good neighbor farmer like you would be in a good neighbor in an urban setting. If I'm growing a tree and my tree goes over to your side and it drops needles or whatever, and you want to cut that limb down, you're probably going to come over and talk to me and say, hey, do you mind if I cut this limb down and hang it over? I say sure. So there is a chance for cooperation and dialogue that has unfortunately broken down in Jackson County, but has existed all over the world, and we want to make sure that that continues to happen. And just furthermore, if I can say on cross-pollination, you know, it's very important that the organic crops have the ability to market themselves as organic, and they do that through a certification process with the United States Department of Agriculture. And in their rules, which was written by organic farmers back in the late 90s, allows for inadvertent presence of genetically engineered material. So that means that you do not lose your organic certification just because of this presence. And that certification then allows you to sell your crops to a buyer who wants that organic crop.
Okay. The policing of this is an issue. Your campaign has said that you know, it would take from budgets to police this. Is that true?
Well, of course. The county has said that it could cost $219,000 a year because there would be some enforcement involved. I mean, just like there's laws in the state and the county, you know, there's enforcement mechanisms. Some people would say, well, there would be no cost because similar bans in California, for instance, had no enforcement costs. Well, those counties were not growing genetically engineered crops before, and I'm talking about Marin and Mendocino County. So the topography, the soil, the climate, I mean, those crops, you would never plant those crops there in the first place.
So whose responsibility is it, the police? Does that fall on the county sheriff?
Well, that is a good question.
Because I just had a candidate in for sheriff, and the budgets are set 2 years out, so how would this fit? I'm trying to figure that out.
Well, the county would have to figure out how best to do it. I think it is reasonable to think that they would try to put it in the sheriff's budget. You know, there are some serious concerns when revenues are short and you're trying to write a budget for, like you said, 2 years out. You're going to have to find places. There's no new money, right? So you're going to have to find. You're going to have to find you're going to have to find a place to get it from. And that, whether it's a disagreement amongst farmers, this really goes beyond farmers, because now you're talking about services that the county relies on, law enforcement, other services such as library or whatever that come out of the general fund. So it's very important to have a plan involved of where you're going to get that money.
All right. So primarily in Jackson County, if I'm hearing you right, Ian, it's alfalfa.
Yep, it's primarily alfalfa, correct.
And what percent of the alfalfa grown in Jackson County is GMO? Do you know?
It's really tough. I saw a USDA statistic that puts roughly half of all alfalfa crops are genetically engineered. So I would say half. I was out at a farmer's property Tuesday. He did an interview for Jefferson Public Radio, and he said about half of his field is conventional and half is GE, as he's slowly trying to go all the way to genetically engineered crops. But I think it's important to understand that this measure actually goes well beyond just the GMO. If the measure wanted to be strictly to GMO, it could have been written that way. But we have here, I have it in front of me, the definition goes well beyond. It has it right here as hybridization. Well, hybrids and GMOs are very different. You can have hybrid strawberries, you can have hybrid tomatoes, you can have a very wide, diverse range of crops that are hybrid. There is a fear that this could interfere with grapes and vineyards around here.
Very interesting, and it's been an education process for an old aggie guy. I tell you, I'm going. My head's still spinning on this one. All right, so we're going to be out of time. People want more information on your position. What do they do? Yeah,
go to protectoregonfarmers.com. There we have all the information out there. We source it. We have videos, articles, everything right there.
All right. ProtectOregon.com.
Protect Oregon Farmers.
ProtectOregonFarmers.com.
Yep.
Excuse me. Okay. Well, it's interesting. I guess in a few days we'll find out. Huh?
Yes, we will.
And it's settled on the primary vote, right? This isn't something. This is a ballot measure, so
yep.
You will know probably the evening of the 20th sometime how this is going to go. And I just hope. Look, I believe in agriculture 100%. I just hope farmers can come back together and be friends again.
Me too. Me too.
Nice to have you coming in.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Okay, we'll see you next time on Focus Today.